Connect is site administrator at Drakewell Museum. Sarah Goodman is educator, which is kind of like the Terminator, just the educator at Drakewell Museum. They join us here this morning. Morning, good to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Almost the end of January. I know we're past the Happy New Year stuff, but I haven't seen you guys since beginning of December. So welcome to a brand new year, right?
Yes,
Yep.
You bet.
A lot of excitement this year too at Drakewell Museum. Michael, where do you want to start?
Well, probably first thing we want to make sure everybody knows is we're still open.
Good.
A lot of people think when winter comes we shut down. There's nothing to see or do, but Drakewell is open Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays from 10 until 4. The exhibit experience is wonderful if you haven't been there recently. So we encourage everybody to get out of the house and come out and see us.
I think people are excited to kind of venture out, especially with the weather. And I'm not complaining. The weather has been pretty decent this winter, but still people are looking for ways to go out and have some fun and do something, right?
Yes.
Right. And Sarah, you might want to talk a little bit about cabin fever coming up.
So that is a great way to get rid of those winter blues. And actually, now that we seem to be in winter, out at historic Pit Hole City, out on Pit Hole Road, we have our annual Pit Hole Cabin Fever Party. It's going to be on Saturday, February 11th from 10 to 2. And if Mother Nature is nice to us, we always do sled riding down the 3rd Street Hill there in Pit Hole, which is an amazing hill to go down. You pick up quite a bit of speed going down it. And thankfully there's a nice flat area at the bottom where you can slow down. And some people say the hike up the hill is killer, but it's not too bad. Your adrenaline's going from going down the hill, so the adrenaline gets you back up the hill. And then we always have a fire going to warm up by the fire. And then inside the museum will be open for tours. We're going to have storytelling and crafts and different things, and also hot cocoa and cookies to enjoy. And it's a free event. But donations, of course, are appreciated. And I think this year people will be surprised because Pit Hole's going to look a little different this year. We just had the new siding project. So as you drive up, you're going to be like, something looks different. And it's brand new siding on the building and things. So there's a lot of great improvements happening.
That's
at
wonderful.
Pit Hole. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is when people are out, you talk about like the walks and the challenges. I think sometimes people get distracted by that because of the surrounding beauty, right? So you're looking around, you're not realizing. I mean, your legs might ache a little bit, but you don't realize you're putting that work in because you're constantly looking around, just taking everything in because it is such a beautiful area.
Yep.
It definitely is. We were a little worried a couple of weeks ago about are we going to be able to do sled riding, and then fortunately winter has shown up, and a little bit of winter will be nice. But
Yeah. Hopefully she doesn't give us a ton of snow. Hopefully it's just the right consistency snow to get good traction on that hill. So encourage everybody to come out, bring your sleds. We do have a few sleds to loan out, but bring your sleds and just have a good time hanging out and riding up and down that hill. So
I think people, Michael, would be surprised. It's not just the museum's, open. I mean, there's all these wonderful events, and the programming continues year round. And there's some wonderful things that happen at the beginning part of the year that I know we talk about it when the time comes. But again, just a reminder, like January, February, March, it's just full of life down there.
Right. We have Winter Academy going on. We had a real good presentation in early January, and there's another one coming up in February.
Yep. Thursday, February 9th at 6:30, we have Jeffrey Hall presenting Birds of Venango County. And it's a book that he wrote. He is a local gentleman who studied all of the birds and the migration and different things here in this area. And he's going to be presenting on the 9th. And that also is a free program, but registration is required so that you can get the link. And to get the registration, you just need to email Drakewell at, let me get this right, ra-phdrakewell@pa.gov. Basically, just log on to the Drakewell website, drakewell.org, and you'll get all the information for that. Really looking forward to his program. I met him this past summer. And he walked me through his book and things, and really fascinating. I didn't realize there were so many different types of birds in this area. You think the basics, the robins, the cardinals, but there are just so many different types.
The bald eagles.
The bald eagles, yes, a lot of those.
So, talk about the Winter Academy. Is this a new program, or is this something that Drakewell's done before?
We have done it before. We actually started during the pandemic when we were not allowed to have in-person programs. And it was a virtual program that we started so that we could still stay active. And it was so popular that we decided to keep it going, because in January and February, when the weather is iffy, people don't like to venture out, but they still want to do something. And so this allows us to offer something instead of in person, virtually, so that you can still be active at the museum and know what's going on.
The other thing that the virtual program has done is it has broadened our audience, and we do have people that are signing on from throughout the region, throughout the country.
Yep. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Have you found that they're just folks that have an interest in the topic, or do they have some relation to this area? That maybe came from here, or
It's a little bit of everything. There, of course, the speakers themselves advertise their talks and things, but I think a lot of it is they have an interest in the topic, and then they dig deeper. And a lot of those, like the Winter Academy people, we've seen sign up for other programs and things, or actually, I saw that program virtually, and now they come to the site too. But yeah, I mean, as we said on this program before, we get people from all over the world that learn about this in school and then want to come see it.
and sometimes there's maybe a stronger appreciation for this history than what you find
Yep.
right here. So it's amazing. Now, from virtual to in person, you've got some fun things coming up.
We do. We have, of course, we have the sledding party. We have Wisdom and Wine coming up in March, which is our annual lecture series. This year we're going to have 3 presentations. There'll be 3 Thursdays in March. The doors to the museum open up at 5:30 for a little happy hour. Broken Straw Winery is going to be bringing different wines each of the Thursdays to sample, and then you can also purchase a glass of wine or purchase a bottle of wine to enjoy. And then the presentations start at 6:30. And this year we are really focusing on oil's impact and things in the oil region and beyond. One of our presenters is actually going to present Plastic Waters, which is a talk about plastics in the Great Lakes, of course, which is just in our back door, backyard. We also are going to have the DEP presenting about their work in the region as well. So some great programs coming up to look forward to.
Michael, that transition from the virtual stuff during the pandemic to in person, were you surprised or not really the response of when Drakewell started opening up for the public and looking for an audience to attend events? Because it seems like people were there, and a lot of people showed up to things to support Drakewell.
Yeah, when we first opened up after the pandemic started to slow down, attendance started to pick up. It was kind of a slow and gradual, but then once we had events like the Fall Gas Up or the Lantern Tours out of Pithole, the numbers were huge, and that trend has continued. We've been looking at the numbers that we had this last fiscal year and comparing them to pre-pandemic. We're up between 80 and 85% of pre-pandemic levels.
Wow.
So the audience is definitely coming back.
But there's been some amazing events down there as well. If you look back at 2022, some great programming. Was that exciting to kind of take that momentum and head into 2023?
Absolutely. And one of the other things that we have coming up in March, I believe it's Sunday, March 11th, is going to be Pennsylvania's birthday, Charter Day, free day to come out. And on that day, we are going to be opening a new temporary exhibit on the world of racing and the connection between racing and refineries. Quaker State and Pennzoil both have supported racing teams through the years, and we have a lot of neat stuff to share with the public on that world. So that exhibit will be opening up, and I think that'll be a good draw for families, for kids, for racing enthusiasts and all.
That's great.
So-
And that's Sunday, March 12th at 10 a.m. Charter
Yes.
Day. So,
Yes.
and by the way, folks go to the Drakewell Facebook page. Got all the events scheduled on there. Let's talk about some of those other special things that happen in and around the park, like all the races. Is it going to be another busy year for races?
It's going to be a very busy year.
Very busy.
And we hope you're training, Luke, because you'll have the opportunity to either run or bike or walk.
Crawl.
Crawl. In May 20th, we have the Stack Trail Race going on, a 5-mile race, and then followed by a 13-mile run. Last year we had a little over 100 runners come, and I think about 75 or 80 of them did both runs.
Wow.
So that's on May 20th, and then on May 27th, I believe, is the gravel Roubaix.
Yeah.
Coming up, and they are going to make a stop out at Pit Hole on part of their race day. And then on August the 20th, we have the Drakewell Marathon and Half coming up. So
That's the one I
yes.
expect you at.
Is that you know what? I think I wrote down the wrong event for that day.
Well, we have time. We have time.
What were you training for?
I'm training for the Pittsburgh Marathon right now.
Are you?
But I'm also going to be running one of the stacked races and one of the races in August.
That's great.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I won't be running.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let's do this real quick, and then I want to ask you about the feedback you get from the races and the events. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel, and listening to it on the Allegheny News Talk Sports Network. Friends from Drakewell here with us here this morning. Michael, what's the feedback been like after events like this? We know, just talking to Adam Deem, for example, with the Gravel Roubaix, that brought in folks from all over the country that, again, maybe didn't have ties here, but were in that circuit. And we would hear comments that this was maybe the most beautiful place they'd ever raced. The scenery was outstanding. The people were so nice and friendly and inviting. Is that the kind of feedback you get?
It is. And
I mean, until they meet Sarah.
well, even after they meet Sarah and the rest of the team. No, people are thrilled to come and see Drakewell and participate in the races and programs that we do. One of the things that really surprised me is the entry for both the marathon and the stack race. It's local people, but it's also people from throughout the region and the country. With the marathon in August, it's one of the last marathons where you can qualify for the Boston Marathon. And last year, I think we had 4 to 6 people qualify for Boston running Drakewell. And our race is a flatter race than many races, and it can be a fast course. So, but we, like I said, we get people from all over the country coming here. Some of them are coming back to see friends and family, and some are just coming here for the first time because they want to experience something different. 2 of our runners last year, and this blew me away, have been running marathons for years. One was a lady who had suffered a stroke, but her stroke didn't affect her running, and so running, it became a passion for her.
Wow.
And I think when she ran the Drakewell Marathon last year, she had completed like her 580th marathon.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
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 Sarah, what's it like for you? I'm sure it doesn't get old, but when people say to you after maybe going through the museum or walking the grounds, I didn't realize how much more there was to this story, or how much this place impacted the world.
We get that a lot. And one thing is like when you go on to, so when you Google Drakewell Museum, of course, you have the Google business page, and it has the reviews of Drake Well. And those reviews from people, we get 5-star reviews, and everyone's like, there was more there than I expected. I didn't know. I just thought it was a well. I didn't realize it did this. And we get that a lot. A lot of visitors, or a lot of visitors that maybe were here when they were young. And of course, when you're young, you just, you remember this and remember that. But there is so much more to it. The best comment I like is a couple Saturdays ago, this gentleman came in and he's like, I've only got a little bit of time. What key things should I check out in the exhibit? And I'm like, well, that's really hard. I'm like,
Wow.
and I said, well, don't see the movie, but I was like, just walk around and you'll figure it out. And he's like, okay. He's like, I really only have 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And so he walked through, and finally I was sitting there and I'm like, I better go tell him it's been 30 minutes. And I walk up to him and I was like, not to interrupt you. I said, but you said you only have 30 minutes. I'm like, he's like, oh, I already called and postponed my appointment. I'm staying.
Really?
And I'm like, okay, and, then he watched the movie. But, I mean, he came here only because it was near where he had to go to this meeting. And so he was kind of trying to kill some time. But it's amazing. The feedback we get is wonderful. People just, they appreciate so much. And they appreciate the fact that there's a little bit of something for everybody. It's, you got the history buffs that come, but then there's the recreation too. I mean, all year round, there's something for everyone in the family to do.
Well, and how much of it too, Michael, is there's some hands-on pieces to this. It's not just, okay, I'm going to stare at this, item and then move on and stare at another item. You
Right.
can do that,
Yep.
but there's some hands-on things that you can do as well.
Right, there are flip panels to flip open to see things that are hidden underneath. There are some computer programs to manipulate. We had a family of grandparents and parents and kids come in, and the grandmother came back about 20 minutes later, and she said, "This is just awesome because the kids are going around, they're exploring, they're trying to see how this component works or that component works," and she said, "This is amazing."
And Sarah, you got the sounds, you got the
Yep.
smells.
Yep, we got the sounds and the smells. We also do a scavenger hunt now for kids. We give them a clipboard, and we have different grade level scavenger hunts that kids can do when they go through. And I laugh at that because you do see the adults will be like, "Well, can I have the high school version?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And we do hand out little prizes if they get all the questions and things right. And sometimes I do like kind of just a little pop-up oil experiment out in the lobby of the museum or something, which that always amazes me too, because you get the adults like doing that just as much as the kids. Oil versus water. Can you mix oil and water? And which I'm not going to tell my little secret on how to get those two to mix, but you
But you can ask her next time you're out at Drake Well.
Next time you come out to Drake Well, I might have that experiment out, and you can figure out how to mix oil and water.
Yeah. Last fall, Luke, when we had the Oil Energy Summit out at Drake Well, a lot of the speakers and participants, the first thing they want to see is, where is Drake's Well? Because we want to see that. And then they get on the site and they start looking around, and it's like, we didn't realize you had this much to see. And when people come out, and we have the outdoor exhibits open and the indoor exhibits, people are spending 3, 4, 5 hours
Yeah.
That's
just
wonderful.
reading everything and trying everything out, interacting when the replica operators are there. They might go into the replica and spend 30 to 40 minutes talking with the operators about how did the well work? How did Drake do this? Where did he get the things to make this happen?
Well, you talk about if you wanted a good test on how everything, getting feedback that you can use. The crew that came up from Washington D.C., the folks in the industry, the folks that live and breathe this daily. When they come here for the first time, they've heard about it, they've read about it, and then they get to explore it, and it's the same feedback, right? Like, oh my gosh, I could spend days here,
Right.
really going through it. I mean, you guys have to feel fantastic that it's attracting even the people that should understand this.
Right.
Exactly. It's a great place.
All right. So, real quick, let's recap what's going on here in the next couple months, and where do they go to either sign up or do they just show up?
So drakewell.org has all of the sign-ups and things. Winter Academy on February 9th, a virtual program about the birds of Venango County. Register for that via our website, drakewell.org. The Pit Hole Cabin Fever Party. Even if it doesn't snow, we will be out there with our little bonfire going and tours of the visitor center, storytelling and crafts and different things. That's Saturday, February 11th. And then in March, we have Charter Day, or Pennsylvania's birthday, on Sunday, when
March
was that?
12th.
March 12th. That date just won't stick in my head. And that's 10 to 4, and that's free admission and the opening of the new exhibit. And then we have Wisdom and Wine happening in the Thursday evenings in March.
Great. Thanks.
Great.
Good to see you guys.